Hey Exercise Confidence listeners, thank you for tuning in today. Again, we are still following the COVID-19 guidelines, so the interview that you will be hearing today was conducted over FaceTime. Just fair warning of the way the audio will sound. But our guest is super amazing. I sat down with a movie star. Her name is Grace Fulton. You may have seen her in movies like Shazam or Annabelle. You can check out our IMDb. We have all of her information linked below. But what's super cool is that when I talked to Grace, we got to really dive in to some of those inner workings that either help or hinder our confidence, kind of due to our personality, whether we're somebody that is maybe a people pleaser, and how that can really affect the way that we look at ourselves because of the way that we feel others look at us. We also talk about how it is so important to check in with yourself, and a couple other cool tips and tidbits that Grace brings up that really help us do an introspective look at how we can better exercise confidence. I'm so excited for you to hear from Grace. I actually met her over 5 years ago when I was leading worship music at a church retreat. Grace has always been special, and I just knew this girl was going to make a big impact on the world. So I'm very excited for you to hear from Grace today. Let's dive in and let's hear what Miss Grace Fulton has to say about how she has learned to exercise confidence.
Hello!
Hi, sweet girl.
Oh my god!
How are you?
I'm so good. I love seeing your face. I feel like it just went back like however many years.
I know. Oh my gosh, I can't even believe it. Like, it was so funny. I was in the movie theater watching Shazam, and I see you come on screen, and I'm like, that's Grace. I'm like, I know her.
Oh my gosh.
So today I am here with my girl Grace Fulton. She is an amazing young woman who I actually had the privilege of meeting, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago. It was a while ago. I was a worship leader at a church camp that we were at, and she was one of the girls that was in our teen group that we were mentoring, and she just had a heart of gold, and it is just still even as sweet and pure today. So I love this girl. She's had great success in the film industry. You might have seen her beautiful face in Shazam or in Annabelle, if those of you who are horror film fiends. I am not. I could not watch it, but I love you and I support you. So thank you for being with us, Grace.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So first, I'm going to start off by giving you the same little spiel I give everybody. Give me a quick little rundown on Grace in about 20 seconds or so. Go.
Oh my gosh. I hate these. They're the worst. They're so hard to do. And there's my rundown on Grace.
And there's Grace. She hates 20-second intros. Beautiful.
All you need to know. I do. They're so hard. Specifically because I trained in ballet to be a ballerina throughout my teen years, coinciding with me acting. So, and then I stopped dancing as intensely. I stopped altogether, I would say, when I was 18 and pursued acting a lot more intensely. So I kind of feel like I've lived 2 lives sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Hard to be like, here's the rundown of me, and I'm like, okay, there's 2 different stories of my life almost, from ballet world to acting world. But rundown, I'll give you the current, in a nutshell, segment. I teach ballet and audition like crazy. I spend a lot of time with my boyfriend these days, which has been really funny. He's actually my first boyfriend ever, so that's fun. And I honestly, currently where I'm at, I'm trying to do less so I can ultimately do more. That's where I'm at.
Doing less to do more. How does that look for you, and what is that like?
My word for 2020 is no. Big N-O, not K-N-O-W, not trying to know things, like No as in no, not happening. I am a huge yes person, and I was recognizing that a lot of the things that I care the most about in my life were getting my leftovers because I would say yes to whatever got me first. And, you know, when you're doing that, you're giving your first fruits, your best efforts right off the bat, and then, like I said, everything else gets your leftovers. And I wasn't really being intentional about what I was building. I just was trying to build whatever and whenever I could. So I definitely I'm really looking at, am I choosing what I'm building, or am I just building whatever chooses me first? Because if that's the case, that doesn't necessarily mean that my heart and passion is in it. So tangibly, literally, that looks like, what relationships am I pouring into? Where am I volunteering my time? Where am I working? I actually just stepped down from student ministry at my church. I've done it for 6 years. It's funny, I started doing it around the time we met. And it's something that I have felt for a long time is not one where I'm called, where I am doing my best, and ultimately recognize that for now we have new leaders that I was a leader of, and now they're stepping up into leadership roles. So the time was really good for me to step back, but it was really hard for me to acknowledge that it was time to go, because I'm the kind of person who sticks somewhere forever. You know,
I feel that.
Sticks with people forever. You know, until I'm literally pushed out with, you know, with ballet, it was injuries. I literally, like, had to stop because of physical stuff, or, you know, or someone literally says no to me. Then I'm like, oh, okay, I'll stop now.
Would you say that in your nature you feel like you are a yes person and a people pleaser, and that's why you had to start saying no?
Absolutely. And I mean, I think also Christian culture, I grew up in youth group with a lot of messages talking about, you know, saying yes and being ready for whatever comes on your plate and comes your way, because it could be from the, you know, God's doing something. So you say yes, you show up. And a lot of, like, you know, Love Does Bob Goff culture, you know, that bug, very, like, spontaneous and romantic and excited to just, like, gun-ho go for it. And I know that if I were to reread Love Does now, I would probably recognize that Bob Goff was not saying say yes to everything, but as a teenage brain, as a middle schooler brain even, the way we digest certain messages sometimes are a little bit more watered down and legalistic than gray and nuanced. So, but yes, I am a people pleaser. Do you know the How We Love test?
No.
It's a great test that is used by a lot of couple therapists to give their clients so that they can work on learning their love styles that they adopted from childhood. And there's pleaser, avoider, vacillator, victim, controller. And when you break down which ones you are, you can kind of see, I'm going on a total How We Love rant, but you can kind of see what your strengths and weaknesses are in connecting with people and how you love, how you respond to someone else's love. Are you the kind of person who, if someone's upset, you immediately assume it's something that you did? Because that's a pleaser thing. You cry and you're like, oh my gosh, I wish you would just be quiet. That's an avoider thing. Are you quick to jump on, the moment something is bad, do you kind of go down a roller coaster of, oh no, this is a disaster, everything's terrible, and then the moment starts to get good, you're like, yes, we're fine, everything's great. You might be a vacillator, you know?
Yeah.
I don't need to go through the whole list, but I've taken that test, and I definitely got strong pleaser levels. It said, needs work. So.
Oh, man. I don't think that it's a bad tangent that you brought up the How We Love test, because I do think it's really important that in order to best build our own self-confidence, we really have to understand ourselves, and kind of understanding how you operate based on the way you accept love, expect love, and give love is important.
That's so true. Yeah.
Identifying yourself as a people pleaser. Did you feel that your confidence was also based on how somebody received your answers and your actions?
Yes. Yeah. That plays hugely into, I think, how much I loved ballet and how much I've been hurt by acting. Because with ballet, you being a people pleaser, you working as hard as you possibly can, and I naturally have a facility, or I did, now I have a woman body, it's a little different, but I had more of a facility growing up for ballet and naturally took to it. So people, if you don't have a natural facility for ballet, no matter how hard you work, you might not get the positive reactions.
Right.
I'm trying to seeing all perspectives right now. But for me personally, I was received with so much support growing up in ballet that I knew all I needed to do was work super duper hard, and I got praise from my teacher. I got attention. I got positive reactions, which only fueled me to have more confidence and to work harder. Which with acting, there's really so much that it isn't up to you, as far as you having the essence of the character, or you having the hair color, the eye color, the skin color, the voice tone, whatever it is that they are specifically hunting for. You can work as hard as you want, you can give your entire heart on a platter to them, and you will probably get a thank you for coming in, and a strong chance that they don't even look up sometimes. They push play, they record and they look at you, but they're not looking at you. So it's tough. There's a strong lack of feedback in acting, I would say. And when you do get feedback, it's either ingenuine or just not nice. It's either, yeah, she did a great job. Yeah, we loved her. And it's like, no, you don't even remember who I was. Or it's I one time got feedback that was she was mugging the camera the whole time. I think she needs acting classes. And I was like, I just came back from doing an acting intensive in London with at the best school, getting great feedback there. What? You guys didn't even really look at me in the room. What? Yeah, so that's a long answer to that, but yeah.
I mean, we're here for the answers. That's what we want to hear, the stories. So long answer, short answer. All we want is just the honest answer, so we can all learn from each other's, vulnerability. I think that's important. When you don't get a yes from somebody else, whether it's in work or in a relationship, and being a yes person, how do you reconcile that so that it doesn't shatter your confidence and you don't take it completely personal?
That's something I'm still working on. Because I know for professional work life, with acting, I know no's are going to come. So my ability to be resilient and receive them has grown immensely over the years. And my expectations are that I will probably get a no. So if I get a yes, it's wow, that's amazing. But I set myself up for a greater chance of maintaining confidence by having good appropriate expectations for how things go. As far as relationships go, I think something I'm learning about myself is I have not put myself in a lot of positions to be told no with friends, because I'm the kind of person who waits around for the friends to want me and then I'm there and I say yes immediately, and I don't reach out very often on my end. So I'm not really in a lot of positions where people in my life say no to me because I have already said yes to them, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kind of, I feel like it's a concept that I don't even fully have grasped about myself yet.
Well, not to interject or interrupt, but I used to be that way a lot because I think for me, I hate rejection, and I think it's very natural for us to hate rejection. So it might even be a self-defense mechanism that you're still learning, because it might be something that, or a self-preservation thing, because you do constantly hear no as an actor. We all hear it from everybody that is in the industry. You're going to hear more no's than yeses. So I think it's if you already have to, if it's literally part of your job that you're constantly being told no, you don't really want to bring it into your personal life. So kind of filtering it by making sure that you're kind of just waiting on that opportunity for you to say yes instead of being told no. Mm-hmm. And it's natural.
Yeah, totally. And I think also I have a very positive disposition. Mm-hmm. Part of my temperament and how I am and what I've been told is, you know, the Enneagram, we're just going to go through all the personality tests.
I just did the Enneagram for my job. They bought the actual one for us to do, yes.
All right, do you feel that you found your number?
So I actually tied for 2 numbers.
Okay.
I got exact same score for 6 and 3.
Yeah. From the limited bit that I know you and I read on people, because I don't know why I'm an aggressive people reader. Maybe it's being an actor. I'm I can totally see 3 or 6. And they also are in conjunction with each other within the triangle of growth and health. Mm-hmm. Because if you're 3, you move towards 6 in health. Mm-hmm. And if you're 6, I believe you move towards a 3 in not health.
In stress, yeah.
Interesting for you to see what you think, which one of those you identify with as being maybe the not good as much trait that, you know?
Yeah. What's your number? What's your Enneagram?
So I'm a 9, which is the peacemaker, and a huge part of the 9 is fear of loss and separation, and they want harmony and they want things working together. So the way I'm wired, I love bringing people to feeling a place of peace and comfort, which means I actually feel that I gravitate a lot of people, and I feel like I have never felt that I didn't have people in my life. I always feel like there's someone to say yes to. There's someone, you know, around the corner. But with that being said, I've recently been learning, you know, it's okay to say no to people. It's not good if I'm saying yes to all these people, but I'm saying no to myself. It's tough. I mean, I think a couple months ago, I was in a really extreme mindset of just being very cut and dry with a lot of things, with a lot of people and situations. But I'm slowly seeing, okay, it's okay to be a cheerleader here for this person, and I'm getting super all over about this thought.
I can see where you're going, because I like how you brought up saying yes to somebody else all the time and other people and other people's needs is almost like saying no to you.
Yeah, it's strange because I really don't think I've considered being rejected by people, because you got me really thinking as you were saying, you know, it probably is. Because I do think sometimes we don't put ourselves in vulnerable situations pursuing the people we want to pursue, the friendships, the relationships, for fear of rejection. And it's so much easier to say yes to people who are already saying yes to you. But that's not building true, real friendship and relationship if you're not also weighing, okay, what is my stake in this dynamic? Do I actually care? Do I actually want to get to know this person and invest in them? Or am I just saying yes because they want me first? And I think in human nature, we want to be wanted. And so when people are showing interest and asking for help, you go, oh, I need it, I want it. Yeah, okay, sure. But in the long run, the thing, I went to therapy for a while, and I love therapy. I think it's really useful to sit with someone who can help you process through your cognitive distortions and all sorts of lies about yourself, others, in the world. You see you're nodding, Cecily.
Yes, I agree. I think that there's so much power in that, and I think it's helpful. And I honestly, it's probably a part of why I started this. Sometimes people don't really feel like, because I know culturally sometimes even going to therapy, there's a stigma against it. Like, you're weak, you need help. And it's not okay for them to do that and be vulnerable. And yeah, I've seen so many times that probably personally my own, my own personal growth has come from those moments of vulnerability and the times when you don't want to have to talk about those things that are tough. And I think this is kind of a place where either the interviewee can do that if they so choose to, because it is a safe space, there is no judgment, and vice versa. I know that there are listeners out there that will hear something that is going to resonate with them and help them see something from a perspective that maybe they didn't before, or push through a barrier that they're encountering right now. So I believe in therapy. Listeners, I believe in it. Find somebody trusted and licensed and go better yourself, because it's probably one of the best things you can do for yourself.
Seriously, when I first went, I walked out and I was like, everyone needs therapy. Oh my God.
Yes.
I mean, initial thought, what I was going to say was, with saying no, I remember my therapist teaching me that when you say no, you're opening up the opportunity for someone else to step up. So it's okay. If you're worried that, oh no, what if by me saying no, no one else is going to fill this role? And sometimes that's the case, right? In our big frames, when we see a need and we're passionate about it, and we go, I think someone needs to step up and design this thing or invent this thing or create this business. There's a strong chance that if you don't do it, someone else might come around and take your dream, but, if you want to see a change, you probably do need to do it. Once again, and I'm bringing up too many different perspectives, but back on topic, as far as people pleasing goes and not wanting to say no to someone for fear of letting them down, disappointing them, leaving them high and dry, it's okay, because it's better you say no and you let someone else fill that spot than, in my opinion, you say yes and you have bitterness and resentment and there's anger growing. Because that's something that I've definitely put off for a long time, how much kind of bitterness and really, really deep-seated animosity of having to, and these are ugly words to use, right? They're words that I think a lot of us don't confront or admit or feel shame admitting that it's something that we feel. But I definitely was feeling that in my people-pleasing and feeling not seen or not loved or not valued or taken advantage of, when in actuality, I was the one putting myself in that position to feel that way.
You love pouring into people, and I'm just wondering, how do you pour back into yourself to help build your self-confidence in who Grace is?
That's a great question. I like answering that question because I like pouring back into myself. Don't we all? I'm really bad at doing that often because of my people-pleasing inclination, but lately, what I've recognized, and this is going to sound so simple, I underestimate taking space to think and use my thoughts to check in with like my bodily needs, whether that's food, sleep, whatever, or even just like thinking through my day and what I'm saying yes to in that day, or what I really want to invest in. And lately what's been building my confidence is taking more ownership over my days and my week, and taking that extra little bit of time to ask myself, do I want to make that commitment? Do I want to do that? Do I want to? Is this a want? Is this a have to? Is this a get to? Because it's very easy for me to not do that and just go, this is the schedule I have, this is the routine. You know, it's okay to take time to go, I'm going to get a ballet substitute teacher to step in and sub my class this day so that I can go do this thing that's really valuable to me and important. So a huge way I've been building confidence is taking more ownership over my schedule and what I'm saying yes to. And then in a literal sense, I love getting alone time. It's really big for me because I take in a lot of people's reactions and their thoughts and absorb the space around me a lot. And so taking that alone time helps me get more in touch with my voice, my desires, and my wants and my thoughts to then go back out in the world and have an equal voice amongst everyone.
Is there something specific that you do or like to do during your alone time that really helps you recharge?
I really love working with my hands. And I actually heard Rick Warren talked about this. He does so much speaking. You know, Rick Warren, he wrote Purpose Driven Life, and he does so much using of his speaking and engaging with people that we recognize it's really important to pair it with a task that's using his hands and not using his words in that part of his brain. So he gardens, which is super awesome. But for me, I love to, this sounds so goofy, I love cleaning my room.
That's great.
I love cleaning out my closet. It's one of my favorite things to do, to aggressively be like, I don't wear this and I don't feel confident in it, and I'm getting rid of it. Or giving this to a friend. And that's something that's been really confidence building for me, is to take time to take my room, my closet apart and only have what I really feel is me in there, or that I feel good in. And that way I have this home base to go to at the end of the day, you know, or in the morning when I get up, I don't feel like a stranger in my room, or like my room is a stranger to me. I love just tinkering in my room and making it feel like a little haven space.
How important has it been to your self-confidence to feel like you have that safe space where you can just come back and be grounded and centered in?
I think as a creative with acting and creating these characters and these worlds, and in general, I'm a very artistic person. Like, I love music and singing, and I'm doing some songwriting, and I love sewing and designing clothes, and I'm very creative. Going into a room, my room, and knowing that my craft box is all sorted, and I have my sewing machine set up on my table with my little sewing projects right next to it. Everything's kind of out and clear for me. My mom and I have this joke that when my room is an absolute mess, it's a reflection of my internal brain. And normally it becomes a mess from me saying yes to too many things and running in and out and throwing clothes on and throwing them off and curling my hair and, curling irons. Everything's just everywhere. The bed's unmade. I come home and crash in the bed. That's a reflection of me not being able to have stillness. Stillness is so powerful and so clarifying. And so having my room be really, just to put it really shallowly, having my room be a vibe that induces rest, because rest is so important. It's what allows me to keep going. as simple as it is, it's, it's really helpful to get that recharge.
When you're on set, is there any way that you're able to kind of recreate that stillness when you really need it? Because I'm sure it's super demanding and very draining when you're filming.
Set is a weird place for me because it's kind of the outlier of a lot of the way I am in life. Set, for some reason, is different than how life is for me. Like, I am so passionate on set. I'm so alive. I don't get drained. I could be there for hours, and it's just my favorite place to be. So I will say, though, I was on location for Shazam in Toronto for about 3 months, and not being home, being somewhere else, not with my community, new film community, which film communities are so fun because it's like summer camp. You all become buds, you visit each other's rooms. It's great. I bring, like, I have some postcards of art pieces from museums I've gone to, and I'll, like, bring those with me and put them up by my bed, or, I'll buy fresh flowers and put them in my space, or bring my crafting materials and set it up on a table wherever I'm staying when I'm on location. And that really helps me feel good. It's so simply good. It really helps me feel just like I'm grounded and I'm not being drained. For some reason, it refuels me. It just recharges me to have that space. And on set, you normally have a trailer. I just don't get drained on set because there's so much creativity. I'm really comfortable with the environment of the camera and the crew, and it's lovely making your kind of touchstone people on set that you're connected with, that you can kind of share a smile with. I don't know. For me, it's like being on set is almost like introverting in a weird way, because it's this imaginary world and you're telling this story and it's so outside of real life that I feel like I'm in my bedroom when I'm on set.
It kind of like goes back and forth. It's almost like you're recreating that creative space that you experience on set, but in a more tangible, different way in your room. And I think, like you mentioned, as a creative, it is your fuel. It helps you be you, and that's where you feel like you thrive. So it's awesome and interesting to hear how set does that for you, and you're able to like trigger that same feeling in a positive way.
Yeah, home for me is space that inspires me, engages me. I love being engaged with, or a space where I cannot engage and pull back. And on set, there are so many people with so many different roles, and so many people who are working, and we're all just a piece of the puzzle. It's so lovely because I am not the piece, I am a piece. So I don't have to always be on. I don't feel like I always have to be on set. Personally, granted, a lot of the roles I play, it's not like I'm the main character who's comedic relief and I'm the driving entertainment force. A lot of the projects I've been on, the driving force is the narrative. And I mean, horror films, you don't have that, like, necessarily that one character you're fixated on. It's more of what's happening to that character. And that happens with a lot of dramas. It's more about what's happening to them versus someone saying 100 lines, and you're just, a lot of comedies very dialogue heavy, and of course things happening too as well. I sound like a very uneducated film person.
I don't know anything, so you sound very educated to me.
My film student friends are gonna be like, "Hey, Grace," but I don't know. For me personally, and I can't speak for everyone because we're all so different in how we read situations and people in a room and work environment, non-work environment. I have a lot of confidence on set because I know I got the job and I know they want me. And if I can get past that audition phase, it's like, okay, here we go. Let's create. Let's make something. And I think because I'm inspired quite a bit by a lot of actors in film. This is my passion. I think a lot of my confidence comes from having been inspired and having that inside of me. There's a video called Taste. I'm blanking on what the guy's name is. That talks about the gap between the taste you have and the work you're actually making, and how oftentimes when we have taste and we make work, it doesn't amount up to the taste we have, and it can be disappointing and kind of kill our confidence. But if you just keep working hard, eventually you'll see that work get better, and it will hopefully line up with your taste. I think because I believe I have taste, I believe I have vision and an idea of how things should go. When I get on set, I have so much confidence because there's something inside of me I'm pulling from. There's something inside of me that I'm trying to hit. But if I didn't have something inside of me pushing me to make stuff, my confidence would not be there. I mean, I'm the least confident in places where I don't have a clue of what I'm supposed to be doing there, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. I've definitely walked into rooms before and been like, I'm just going to go stand in this corner. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, when we have no business being somewhere really, or, if there's a business to be done, if we don't have a task, if I don't have a task, I'm just like, I'm just kind of here. I'll be watching,
Who is your biggest inspiration?
Who's my biggest inspiration? It's too many people. I think I have a lot of little random bits hit me in actors' careers, people you see on Instagram, those random people who actually are inspiring and not making you feel insecure about yourself.
Yes.
That's a whole nother topic we could talk about. I know that's a whole epidemic with a lot of people struggling with confidence through Instagram. And but back to your question, started with Christian Bale. Christian Bale has been a big inspiration for me because of his earnestness and his acting as a child. He was in this movie called Empire of the Sun when he was super young, and he was just so gung-ho and so earnest in his delivery, and obviously his career has been very long with doing a lot of roles where he just transforms himself and is a chameleon and alters his body, alters his appearance, whatever it is, and is so creative. I think of him as being a very creative actor because he literally creates a different visual situation along with the help of makeup artists and wardrobe. But I really admire Carey Mulligan's career. She tells stories that are very not always beautiful, and a lot of her characters get humbled in the process of the story. They start out really confident and proud and arrogant and like gung-ho, and then like get humbled, work through the humbling, and come out a softer, more wise character. She's a more obscure actress for sure, but I love her stuff. And as far as people in real life being inspired, I don't know. I think I'm very inspired by, I think I get inspired by myself overcoming tough moments. And I get inspired to keep going when I overcome tough moments, if that makes sense. And I hate that I use myself as inspiration because that's so, like...
Well, dumb. I love that you used yourself because I think that, well, first of all, side note, do you watch Parks and Rec? Have you ever seen Parks and Rec? When Leslie has a picture of herself and she's like, I'm big enough to admit that I inspire myself. I love that. And I always joke that I'm going to have a picture of myself in my own office one day.
Yeah.
But I think it's important in terms of cultivating self-confidence. In a lot of these conversations I'm so privileged to have with people, is that at the end of the day, confidence really does start with you. So like you're saying, if you can't look anywhere else other than beyond yourself, then being able to realize the things that you've overcome. And I think it was in my very, very first interview, my speaker said, if it can be those little things. I got out of bed today. I took a shower. Because some days like that is all you can do to get through a day. And you have to find the small victories, and those will spur you on to the big ones. So we can't overlook those little things. And it is good to say, yeah, I did that. I overcame that. And you know what? I'm looking at this next mountain, and I can do it again. It's going to suck. It's going to be hard. But let's go, girl.
Yes. And I stand by what I said. I am inspired by when I push through. And what's so lovely is, knowing that, okay, if I push through this, it's going to stir up and encourage more moments of me pushing through other things. And it's that momentum. I mean, I was mentioning to you earlier before we started this, the momentum of when things are working out and you tackle those little assignments, and that helps fuel the next.
With your past in ballet and just being able to, like you said, be kind of like that physical person to get out of your head and do those things. I know for myself, I have an athletic background, so just going like to a batting cage or like playing a game, like right now I'm on a rugby team, so like playing in a sport, like it is that time of getting out of my head and doing something tangible that is another way that kind of boosts like my endorphins mentally and like physiologically, and that also helps my confidence because I can physically see something that I've done. And I'm kind of interested to hear how ballet's done that for you.
Oh, well, I take class here and there with ballet, but I actually recently, because I stopped my ballet class taking at 18 and started teaching more and just needed a huge break from that rigorous routine and had a really hard time actually getting out of my head when I would go into ballet class because it was such a career for me and there was so much internal critic going on of how to be perfect, how to do it right, that ballet was not an escape for me for a long time. It's just recently come back to being somewhere where I can go and just express and get in my body. But last year, I started doing taekwondo and kickboxing. So fun. Kickboxing is my jam. It is just, it's aggressive and I am not. And I feel like I'm playing a character, so it's a lot easier for me to engage with it because I'm a ninja or I'm a fighter, and it's this movie, and I've got to fight this bad guy, and I'm exhausted, and I'm like, this is the moment in the action sequence where I get the guy,
Oh my gosh, I love that. But
it's great. It really does. Obviously, it boosts your endorphins, and moving and working to get your body just helps fuel an overall holistic, healthier version of yourself.
Yeah, I can completely attest to that. For me, it's I've always loved running, and I sound like a psycho when I say it. I love jogging. I've done half marathons. I've done those races where you have to run, and I always at the very end to think about the entire distance and just think I did that. My own 2 legs took me from that point to this point. And so it's the same thing with sports for me. It's I did that. This body did that. And I think, especially as women, it's so hard for us to really accept and love our bodies wholly. So to look at it from a capabilities perspective rather than just an aesthetic, it makes me just love my body. I love it.
That is such a huge way to put it when you start to look at your body from a capability perspective versus an aesthetic, because ballet was super aesthetically driven with fitting a specific body type, and I totally was wrapped up in needing to look a certain way, having unhealthy perspectives with food, and practically dieting without, I couldn't stick to it, I'm too lazy, but I mean being really restrictive, and then eating a ton because my poor little body was getting put through so much, athletic work. And when I remember looking in front of a mirror and going, my body is so amazing and capable, and I love it. Like, it's enabling me to do crazy things and dance amazing things, and I can't believe that I have been so abusive to it and so negative about it. And I just talked to a friend who used to be a ballerina, and we were talking about our body negativity for so long and how lovely it is to be free from that and have more of a mindset of, look at how capable my body is, look at what it can do. Mm-hmm. And my body is me, it's a part of me, and when I'm abusing it, I'm abusing myself. And when I'm hating it, I'm hating myself, which is a really crummy experience.
And it's heartbreaking to think that it just is almost the norm, and it happens all the time, every day. Millions of young women, older women, young girls. It's also, it's why I think this message is so important, and it's why I love to share it. And it's not just girls too. I know plenty of men and young boys that they have such an unrealistic expectation put upon themselves too. It's like, well, you can't be skinny, you can't be fat, like you have to have X amount of body fat and be muscular and be able to lift. And so I think that, talking about these things, that's why I love to put it out there and put these different perspectives. There was a thing that I read again on Instagram, and it was talking about, like, look at how much your body loves you. You get a cut, and it automatically, its first thing is the need to heal and everything that rushes to it. You get sick, the way your antibodies work to fight off the infection or virus. All these different things. When you tear a muscle, the way it all works to heal itself, And then it was talking about and how much your body loves you, but how much do you love your body in return? And it was just so like heartbreaking and eye-opening, and I loved it, and I shared it, and I'll probably reshare it again all the time, because it's those little things that we have to remember and not take for granted. And you talked about how you inspire yourself, but I also want to talk about how in this new world that you're navigating of fame, you also do have these opportunities to inspire other people. And it's almost like a task or a weight, I'm sure. And kind of how do you navigate that, and how do you, again, just really bring your own confidence to that?
I mean, to answer that, I am not there yet. I am not stepping into inspiring other people, intentionally at least. I'm inspiring people. Wow, that's cool. I really have been. When I got a boost in Instagram followers and verified and, started to get attention for this craft that I've been doing since I was 6 years old. I've been acting since I was 6 years old. And suddenly people are saying, she's made it. She's doing it. And I'm like, I've been doing it. What do you mean? Like, nothing's different in my book. Like, and for a lot of people, the perspective of getting attention, getting fame, whatever you want to name it, getting verified, getting more followers would mean their life is starting to begin. But my life has been going on and has continued to go on the same way. I'm just having more doors open in acting, and even then, more doors open to auditions. So I'm just auditioning more and getting told no more.
Lovely little cycle.
But you bring up a good point, right? I am having a platform that is expanding in who I reach. I do not feel passionate about using social media or using my identity to impact other people, because I've really been afraid and uninterested in celebrity, and very much want to stay in more of an intimate impact way with the sets I get to go on, the people I get to reach in my career. Now, is that something I never want to do? No, but it is something I think you use some very important words. It's weighty. it's kind of a lot of pressure to think about speaking to these people, especially when Instagram has so much noise. There is so much on there, and I know even when I scroll, I barely read captions. I'm mostly just looking at pictures a lot of the time, or and I'm trying to spend less time on it. I think, and this kind of goes back to what I said early on, I am trying to look at doing less so that ultimately I can do more. And I've been doing my best to not buy into the noise, because what happens is when you get more followers, you get a check mark, you get to go to this big premiere, and you're doing press for this movie, you're getting all these DM requests from people from all over the world, and all this. It's a lot of noise. I would say 99% of the messages I get on Instagram are boys, 15-year-olds saying, you cute, hey, Scotty, something like that. And I'm like, what is happening? I actually laugh. I get some messages that are like, you a good story. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. What's happening? And I have chosen not to pay attention to it, because currently my Instagram is not a platform of engaging with outside world. I'm kind of trying to keep it still intimate as much as I can with people who know me and people I know. Mm. But it's incredible what people do with their accounts and their careers and their money and their impact. And I'm such a baby actress over here. We're just tinkering away, just trying to get the next job. And I mean, I am so focused on my family and the relationships here. And I feel like real life for me is the life I'm living with my family and my friends and my community, which is in a big growing phase as I grow and I get better at saying no or saying yes. That was a very broad answer. Gosh.
No, I love the transparency and the way that you value that, like, privacy and that intimacy. For me, I can empathize with you on that, because wanting to share these stories and wanting to create, as you can understand as a creative, it was hard for me to kind of reconcile, because yes, I do want to spend less time on social media, but I also know that it is a way to make an impact and it's a big platform. So having to kind of really make that intentional decision that this is for work, this is to create something, this is not to just consume myself with in a way that can become negative. And also, I don't like to share my life a lot. I have a boyfriend, but I don't really like to post about us often. I like to keep that very private. I do share about my family. Usually it's things that I'm proud of, and my little sister is trying to follow in your footsteps. She's a theater. She loves being on stage. She loves Broadway and musical theater, and that's her big niche right now. And so she's in high school, and she's in a college production right now. So we're all super proud, and I love to brag about her because I think she's just the end-all be-all, of course, because she's my little sister. And I'm always going to be proud of her, and I always want her to be in the spotlight. But also kind of reconciling that with, I do like to be private. I don't like to show too much of the deep stuff, but I also want to be real. I want to be transparent and vulnerable. So I've completely stopped using filters. I post when I don't have any makeup on, when my hair is a mess, when I look nice, when I don't look nice. And that's been, it's been an interesting transition. Mm-hmm. Finding the balance.
I like that. That's so powerful. It sounds like moving into more honesty is one of the most powerful feelings. That's where I feel like I'm chasing with saying no or saying yes, And I know for me with Instagram, I look at it as a journal and a creative journal in my mindset.
I like that.
I document. So I love using filters because I'm dramatic and my motivation isn't to make myself look prettier or make people look better, but purely out of like, this is so dramatic, this is so cinematic, this is so like, I just am so sentimental and appreciative of life that I love taking moments that it's literally the epitome of what I think causes a lot of people to be stressed out on Instagram, but I love taking the highlights, and I love like being grateful for them and celebrating them, and I love looking through my Instagram and seeing timelines of what I've been up to and where I've been, and I don't like to put too much pressure on actually thinking about who's looking at it and who is gonna like it or what's gonna get me more likes, or I only post what I care about, you know, and like sentimental to me, so that I can look back and go, oh, I engaged with life, you know, I took life and I went, I'm gonna make this important to me, and I'm gonna show up here and, you know, treasure this and treasure that. But it's a crazy platform, and now there's TikTok, which is like a whole nother animal.
Oh my gosh. I do not TikTok. I refuse, but I'm a youth leader at my church, so all of the teens, they TikTok. Yeah. It's a beast.
Yeah, TikTok made me step down from youth ministry. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine?
It's huge. Oh my gosh. They're like, I see a little group of girls in the corner, and their backs are to me, and then suddenly they're dancing, and I'm like, oh, okay, they're filming a TikTok. All right, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, that's life, and life is, we learn, we grow, we analyze, we adapt, and we keep going.
Yeah.
If you had one piece of advice, Grace, for the listeners to be able to exercise confidence daily, what would that be?
I think knowing what you truly want is really big. And if you want it and believe it's something that you need to do, you've got to, and you feel like you've got to do it, then, I mean, it goes back to the belief in yourself, believing in yourself and pressing through and holding on to that you have something to give is what's going to keep you having confidence. And of course, I think it's really powerful to be vulnerable and ask people in your life for encouragement. That's something that I've recognized is really helpful when I turn to like people who are really close to me and saying, I'm feeling really insecure right now, and I don't really know that I can make it. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. And the amount of love I've had poured back into me by my peers is also a really lovely confidence, booster. I don't know. I have so much self-doubt. I struggle with so much all the time. And I know this is like a wrap-up question, but I'm going to go down a tangent. I just went skiing with my dad the other day. And skiing is another out in my body thing that I've been doing lately. I went with my boyfriend at the end of last year for the first time in I haven't gone skiing in 12 years. It's been a long time, and it was terrifying. I fell a bunch, but I pushed through. It was out of my comfort zone. And then I went again with his friends, and I saw improvement. And then I just went with my dad, and he was really pushing me to try to pole plant. Do you ski ever?
No. I've never been to the snow, actually.
Oh, you've never seen snow? Wait, what? Oh my gosh!
I've seen it, but I've never been to it, if that makes sense. There's been slush on the ground of places I've gone to.
Yeah, you've never seen this fresh powder. Okay, well,
no.
Put that on the list. You gotta go see snow.
I know.
Skiing is so scary when you're going super fast down the hill, and it was totally out of my comfort zone, but my dad was teaching me things to do, and I was trying to trust that what the information he was giving, that if I just applied it, I would see results. And so I trusted. I just went for it and tried and found myself falling, but getting back up, and it was amazing doing something so outside of my comfort zone. And I did finally get a lot of the stuff he was saying, so it's not like I was just falling the whole time. But I started to get it, and I was absolutely terrified. I could feel my heart racing, and I checked in with myself. This was on one of our last runs, and I went, oh my gosh, my heart is racing actually because I'm tired from exerting my body. I'm actually not scared anymore because I've been doing it so many times. And my heart racing right now is because I've been pushing myself, not because I'm scared. And at first I thought, oh my gosh, my heart's racing, I'm scared. And I went, no, I'm not. I know I can do this. And to answer on having confidence, I think pushing ourselves and being scared and doing it anyways is a huge confidence builder. And knowing that fear is not an indication that you need to go home. Fear is not an indication that you're not going to make it through. But if you can feel the fear and do it anyways, you'll get to the point where your heart will be racing, and it won't be because you're scared. It'll be because you just went through the thing and you did it, the adrenaline. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness, I love that whole sentiment you just said there at the end. And Grace, I can't thank you enough for being on today. I love you. You're my sweet girl, and I believe in you always. And I'm so just excited to see the way that the rest of your, career just continues to unfold, because I know there's just great big things in store for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for talking with me. This was so lovely, and this was restoring and confidence building for me to get to sit and analyze and answer questions and think about things. So thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, do you have any work coming up that our listeners should be on the lookout for? Any promotion you're going to be doing for any of the work that you're currently doing?
I have a movie that's supposed to be coming out in June that I filmed, 5 years ago that disappeared, and then it just got bought, and they're looking into releasing it in theaters in June around Father's Day. It's called Vampire Dad. It's a comedy, real fun, in the 60s, and I play Susie Q, who has her first boyfriend, and she's so in love with him, and her dad turns into a vampire, and it's very playful and silly. And then I just filmed a rom-com in Illinois called Most Guys Are Losers that's being in post-production, edited right now. So keep on the lookout for that. We'll see when that gets released.
And, of course, you can keep up with Grace. We will link her socials in the description, and you can just follow not only her film and career journey, but just the journey that she is paving for her own personal growth, because we love to see it. We love to see the personal growth and that success there, because that is just as important as our professional success. But thank you, Grace. I love you. You're lovely. You're amazing.
Oh, you're so lovely. I was thinking midway, I was like, I hope I get to do this again with you later on, and I'll have clearer answers.
Oh my goodness, that end segment right there that she talked about, the sentiment of when your heart is racing because you are a good tired from exerting yourself in an effort to achieve something, rather than thinking your heart is racing because you're scared. And the fact that fear is not an indication to go home, and fear is not an indication that you will not make it through. You can push through that and turn that scared heart racing into a heart racing feeling that is just so satisfying. Grace was just so transparent, and I am grateful that she offered to even be a guest in the first place. I also think it's super fitting and a little funny that we talked about how important alone time can be and how it is necessary to recharge in that way. I think right now, with the state of our current affairs and the pandemic, we kind of have an unexpected opportunity to explore that. We can indulge a little bit in that alone time. And maybe you're like me and you live in a house with a lot of family, and it doesn't seem like there's really a way to truly carve out that alone time. But I strongly urge you to find a space where you can have that time to just be with yourself, because it is really important in cultivating that area where you can step into and really allow yourself to immerse in that recharging of that alone time. So thank you, Grace. We appreciate all of your insight and just your honesty today with us. Coming up, we've got some diverse interviews your way. We have a man who is a business mogul, if you will, and he helps a lot of other entrepreneurs start, launch, and sustain incredibly successful businesses. We will also have some military personnel, and we'll get to learn how confidence is vital in being self-assured in the role that you play in a bigger arena. And I can't wait to share all of that with you. It is truly a passion of mine to help you learn all the ways in which you can exercise confidence. And as always, I hope that I have earned the privilege of your time. So, signing off for today, I am Jaren Asari, and I do hope that you find a way to exercise confidence every day.